5 defeats in a row, no goals in those 5 games. European football slipping away. The pressure has ramped up even more on the Chelsea boss, Liam Rosenior. As you can see, our chief correspondent, Carve Solcott, has joined us for some huge breaking news, Carve.
Yeah, I can tell you now that Liam Rosenior has left Chelsea. Chelsea have decided to make a change. He's leaving the club today. He's been told that he's no longer Chelsea head coach, even though back in January, he signed a contract until 2032. Last night, the performance and the result was the final straw. The Chelsea sporting leadership team felt that they just had to make a change to try and salvage something from this season. In the short term, Callum McFarland is going to become the interim head coach again. You remember earlier this year when Enzo Maresca decided to leave Chelsea, Callum McFarland, who was the former under-21 coach, became the interim head coach. He was in charge for a very credible 1-1 draw, I think it was, away at Manchester City. Then he was in charge for the game that they lost at Fulham. He will be in charge between now and the end of the season. So he'll be in the dugout at Wembley on Sunday for this huge game against Leeds United and also for the other Premier League games until the end of the season. I'm being told that at the end of this season, Chelsea will appoint a permanent new head coach. They don't have a shortlist at the moment. They have not spoken to anybody about who that could be. But obviously, there are some big name experienced managers who are going to be available. One final thing I would say to you is sometimes people will think Liam had a contract until 2032. He's only been there for, 4 or 5 months. Does that mean Chelsea have to pay him up for the rest of his contract? I've seen reports that it could be £20-25 million. That is not the case. I haven't seen his contract, but I know for a fact every contract at that kind of level would have a break clause in it. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to come to a resolution that is fair for Chelsea, but it's also fair for Liam Rosenior, even though he's lost his job.
It's huge. This is huge, Jimmy. I can see by your face you're shocked by this. You didn't expect him to go, did you?
I am shocked. I didn't expect it to happen this soon. I know that he was under pressure because, look, Chelsea is a big club.
Yeah.
They expect to win. It hasn't happened before, or it hasn't happened that long or long ago that they haven't scored this minimum goals.
Yeah, 5 games, they've not scored a goal.
5 games, yeah. So the stats are not in his favour. But then still, because he's been not that long at Chelsea, I would have thought that they would give him a little bit more time. They've got lots of injuries. The game against Man United, they were a little bit unlucky. They played really well. So yeah, I am a little bit surprised. But then on the other hand, I'm not, because it's football, it's results. The shirt is heavy,
yeah.
You know. The supporters are used to winning a lot of trophies, used to see the team competing week in, week out. And the game of yesterday was poor. And that's why you could see him saying what he said. He acknowledged that. But then still, I thought he would get at least the Leeds game on Sunday. But look, they have to do what they have to do. And, yeah.
It's interesting, we're seeing Cucurella, we're seeing Enzo Fernandez, looking at, there we are, what we saw last night. These players haven't helped the cause, have they? Did he lose the dressing room, in your opinion, Jimmy?
That's always been asked, when a manager goes, did he lose the dressing room? Look, players have to take credibility, they have to take responsibility here. And you never play, really. I don't like the saying, players are playing for the managers. No, you're playing for yourself and your teammates and the club. That's who you're playing for. That's your profession. Your profession is to give everything you've got and make sure that you have left everything on the pitch. It didn't look like that. So
they were also publicly coming out and saying, that they actually kind of almost preferred Enzo Maresca, and they felt that the club had made a mistake. That's been a public announcement from some of the players recently.
Yeah, but you're always going to have that. You're always going to have players that when a manager goes, that they're sad because some of them they really like Enzo. And what happened with Enzo was actually not really expected at all. You know, it just came to a little disagreement, and that exploded, and he left. Nobody expected that. His results were actually not that bad. But this, you know, yesterday, it just didn't look good. It just didn't taste good. And he felt that. So that's why he came out with however he came out. But where do we go from here? You know?
Well, that's the question.
That for me is what's the plan? You know, how do we get them to play really well again and compete? Because Sunday is right around the corner and very, very important for those players, but also for the club and for the fans.
Well, as Carve was saying, Callum McFarlane will take charge for that match. But look, Carve, how much will the hierarchy be to blame for this? Because if we look at the managers that have been there since then, you know, it's Pochettino, Tuchel, Lampard, Potter, Maresca, Rosenior. That's a lot of managers for a club.
Look, I think they'd hold up their hands and say, look, we've got it wrong. And we definitely got it wrong in this instance. There's no sugarcoating it. This has been a terrible season for Chelsea. This should have been a season where they kicked on, where they built on winning 2 trophies last season and getting back into the Champions League. They have gone backwards. The reason they've gone backwards is that Enzo Maresca left. He wasn't sacked. He didn't want to be there anymore. He felt that his relationship, for a variety of reasons with the people he worked for, had broken down to such an extent that he wanted out and he left. The big mistake then they made is to bring in Liam Rosenior, because they've set up this structure, this multi-club model where he was at Strasbourg, and they thought that seamlessly he could move from Strasbourg to Chelsea. But the bottom line is, you saw the evidence last night.
Yeah.
He is not experienced enough to be the manager of a club as big as Chelsea. And I will give the owners some credit here, because they've realised that and they've made the decision quickly. Because I don't think anything was going to change if Liam Rosenior had stayed. Because you could see from the performance of the players yesterday and from the comments that he made about them afterwards, that could not continue.
Okay, the comments didn't help him, but I would go back to the start of the season. It was always going to be a very difficult season for Chelsea. Like for Liverpool, but for different reasons. Chelsea won the Club World Cup. The players had no pre-season. They had a minimum rest. And it was they were always being catch-up. They were always doing catch-up. It was always going to be a difficult season. And in defense of Maresca and Rosenior, you know, you have to think about these players in a way of, okay, injuries are going to come, and how am I going to protect them? And that's been really the difficulty of the whole season. Nevertheless, you still need to win some games, and that is where that didn't help Rosenior. If he would have won 2 games more, I don't think that he would have been sacked. You know, if he would have drawn against Man United, won yesterday, or or drawn against Man City, I don't think that he would have been sacked. So I think it's results. You know, it's results. That has not. Then yesterday, the performance was just extremely not Chelsea. And that's not acceptable.
Yeah, and I think he always felt that he might turn things around because he started so well, you'd have to say. January the 6th he arrived, and actually he was winning games. So
I mean, he started well, but the problems are that in the past almost 3 months, they've only won 2 league games against Wolves, who've been relegated, and against Aston Villa away. And to be fair to Liam Rosenior, he would say, look, I didn't get the time I needed a full pre-season, I needed a transfer window as well to get in some players who I wanted to address some weaknesses that I've identified in the squad. But You're not going to get that kind of time at Chelsea.
No, you need to win games.
He's in very good company when it comes to managers who've been sacked. I'm sure he can bounce back from this and learn from this experience. Carlo Ancelotti was sacked as Chelsea manager. Jose Mourinho was sacked. Roberto Di Matteo was sacked, a couple of months after winning the European Cup. Thomas Tuchel lost his job after winning the European Cup. You know, there's no shame in being sacked by Chelsea. It happens. It's an occupational hazard. And if you go almost 3 months and you only win 2 league games, then I'm sorry, but the writing's on the wall. You are out. You're going to lose your job. And that's exactly what's happened at Chelsea today.
But like Jimmy was saying, you know, Callum McFarlane is now going to take charge of the game against Leeds that they mustn't win, really. They've got to do something and turn this season around and try and get themselves in the FA Cup final. And the last 5 games, but they have to get Champions League football. Is this the man, or should they have short term and brought somebody in for 5 games?
They are believing in him.
Okay.
He's done a job against Man City. He has held it together, so they must believe that he can do it. He's been at the club now over a year. Everybody speaks really highly of him. So. Yeah, he's got an opportunity here, you know. He's got an opportunity like Michael Carrick, you know. He's got an opportunity, and he knows the players. The players like him. The players fought for him against Man City. And he's been around. He's been helping Liam. So it will calm things down, hopefully, you know. And hopefully he can get them going on Sunday.
But do you think he has the sort of personality and the character to even be an interim head coach at Chelsea? A lot of Chelsea fans I speak to would say, we want to get in a former player, somebody from the past, somebody who knows the club inside out.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
somebody who's coached England, somebody who's a manager, who's available, who lives close to Cobham, who would love to do the job. Do you know what we're doing here?
Look. He has done it. They believe in him. At the moment, you need to back him. You need to support him, and that's it. You know, the players need to look in the mirror. The players need to get up, stand up, and be accountable. And it's not about playing for the manager. It's about playing for yourself and playing for your dignity, and competing and making sure that you give everything for that shirt. That's what it is about, you know. Whatever formation, whatever personnel, whoever plays, it's about, you know, making sure you make yourself proud when you come off that pitch.
Right, Leanne Sanderson's here and is his chief correspondent, Carve Solical. We talked a lot about Chelsea in the last hour, but there's still so much to get into. But Carve, just remind us, last night Liam Rosenior admitted that the buck stops with him. So where does this leave him?
Well, look, I think what's happening at Chelsea this morning is there's an inquest going on about what happened last night, also what's been happening over the past couple of months. And Chelsea's sporting leadership team need to make a decision very, very quickly whether to stick with Liam Rosenior or replace him. They've got this big FA Cup semi-final on Sunday against Leeds United. The Chelsea players seem to not be playing for Rosenior anymore. The Chelsea fans are sick and tired of what they're seeing, to such an extent that actually their allocation for the semi-final at Wembley is still not sold out. I think Chelsea season ticket holders...
I didn't know that.
Henry just said the fans said he was like, I'm not going to go if we get to the final.
He said,
Yeah, Chelsea season ticket holders, I think, have just been told that you can actually apply for more tickets. Absolutely unthinkable for a club the size of Chelsea when they're playing an FA Cup semi-final in London at Wembley against one of their historic rivals to have still not sold out their allocation. I'm not criticising the fans. I totally understand why they would not want to pay good money to watch those kind of performances. But what I'm expecting today is some kind of update from Chelsea about whether they are going to stick with Liam Rosenior or not. The reason I can't sit here and tell you they're definitely going to stick with him or he's definitely going to go is I believe that decision has not been made yet.
So if the decision was that he goes, and he goes today, before the FA Cup, who would come in? Because surely it would be interim to the end of the season, not a long term.
That's the problem. Who's there? Who is there who's experienced enough to take on this situation? You've got Callum McFarlane there, who was interim manager for one game. Yeah. That was a pretty good performance and result away at Man City. They got a draw. But I don't really think he's experienced enough to walk into this. Interestingly, the one name that keeps coming up from Chelsea fans is they want John Terry until the end of the season, because he's somebody who's still involved with the club. I think he coaches at least one day a month at the academy. He still lives
at the
close.
academy every day, to be fair.
Yeah.
I know JT quite well. He's a good mate of mine. And, he, bleeds Chelsea, doesn't he? He loves the club. And I was quite surprised when Callum McFarlane got that job for one game. I'm surprised JT didn't get the job for that game. Because Callum McFarlane's been at the academies with the under-23s and all that. But JT, we all want the romance of a former legend, don't we? We do want that. I wanted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. Look how that worked out. But I do believe this will make the fans happy, won't it? I mean, but at the same time, I do believe JT can get a tune out of them, knowing how he is as a person. Do you know what I mean? From a footballer's perspective, he will get a tune out of these players to a certain degree. But he will not want to be puppeteered by Nuco.
And he's one of the problems that if he came into the end of the season, he would see it as an audition, whereas the board might be thinking, no, we're definitely going for someone else in the summer.
I mean, he's got all his coaching badges. You know, he was at Villa as the assistant there as well. Because people keep saying he's not got the credentials to do it. Well, what did Rosenior have before he became the Chelsea manager? You know, sometimes you have to take a little bit of a gamble. Look what Bournemouth did with Iraola. No one really knew who he was, and then he's come in, he's done an incredible job, and he could probably get any job in world football now. So I understand the romance of it, but it's a difficult one, isn't it? But I do believe that the way I'll answer this question, if Liam Rosenior was still here, this time next year, I believe Chelsea will be in the same position, and that's why I believe he needs to go.
When it comes to John Terry, I think my heart would say that it would be, if Liam Rosenior goes, it will be a good appointment until the end of the season. Because, as Leanne said, he's Chelsea through and through. The fans love him, and I think the players would respond to having him in charge, especially for the game against Leeds on Sunday. But my head says that he's never really been in the running for a top job at Chelsea with the first team, and there's got to be reasons behind that. And it would be surprising if Chelsea changed course and now decided that, yes, we are going to give the job to him.
They need to do something quite drastic, though, Carve, don't they? Let's be honest, because what they're trying to do is not working. Their template with Nuco, buying the younger players, it isn't working, is it? So they need to do something that's kind of maybe way out of left field, way outside of what they were thinking. Because in an ideal world, they bring in Liam Rosenior, part of Strasbourg, part of their group of what they're doing. In an ideal world, he did a really good job. He hasn't. Now what? They're smart businessmen. They're successful businessmen, so they know how to manage situations. They would know, anybody watching that game last night, even my nan, that's 93 years old, would be able to see that was not good enough. You know, you don't need to have all the coaching badges under the sun to see the players were not playing for him, and that is a big problem.
Do you think they'd play for John Terry?
Yes, I do. I do, because look at what John Terry got a tune out of his teammates. You know, these types of players in the dressing room. I know, like I said, it's the romance of going back to yesteryears when we had Roy Keane and Vieira. Doesn't exist anymore, but I do genuinely believe that certain people can get a tune out.
So to do Blueco needs someone who actually has... See, Maresca had actually coached at Manchester City, all right? And Michael Carrick has been a caretaker manager at Manchester United and played for Manchester United. They understand these big clubs. Do they need someone like that who at least understands, not necessarily Chelsea, but being at a big club as either a player, ideally a manager, or even part of the coaching staff?
Well, look, they had Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca did a pretty good job overall. He got them in the Champions League. He won the Conference League. He won the Club World Cup as well. But behind the scenes, his relationship with key people at the club fell apart. That is why he left the club. It wasn't for football reasons. It was for, you know, personal reasons, his relationship with other people at the club, him not being willing to fit into the structure that was in place. My question is, going forward, if you're going to get a new person in charge, will that new person, if he's going to be at the level of Anthony Iraola or Oliver Glasner, somebody like that, are they going to be willing to fit into this structure? I think the key decision that Chelsea have to make is not just about whether we should replace Liam Rosenior, and if we do, who's going to take over. I think what they need to look at again is the whole structure. Do we need to have 5 sporting directors? Do we need the club to be run like this? Or should we just say, let's go out and get the best manager who's available, and let's go out and get the best sporting director who's available and leave them to it?
Can I throw someone's name in, and you might look at me like I'm saying something stupid here, right? But I'm used to it. But I'm used to it. What about, just till the end of the season, Emma Hayes? She wouldn't have to leave her current job.
I mean, you've just thrown that completely out there.
She knows the club. I've only just thought of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, that won't happen. She's USA coach, so they won't be doing both. Similar to when I wanted Carlo Ancelotti to come to Man United and equally do Brazil. She can do it, no denying that.
Just a few games to go to the end of the
She
season.
can do it, no denying that, but that is like a wild card in the sense that she can definitely do it, but I just think, yeah, I think there's more. I can't see that, Tom.
I think her great relationship was with the previous board as well, wasn't it, at Chelsea? But it was a very revealing post-match interview from Rosenior. This is what he said.
That was unacceptable. I've defended the players, and I am accountable. I've always said that. After tonight, I think the players as well need to have a look in the mirror. I don't feel there's a disconnect between me and the players. The buck stops with me. I have thick skin, and I understand why the fans are frustrated. I'm frustrated. It's not about playing for me. It's about playing for the club. It's about playing for the shirt. It's about playing to win games of football. We're playing for Chelsea. I'm managing Chelsea. The criticism and pressure comes with the football club. So if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be here.
Carve, he did mention things need to change behind the scenes. What's he referring to? What could he be referring to?
I mean, he can't be talking about the structure because he doesn't have the power to change the structure
and he
of the way the club,
when he took the job.
Yeah, of the way the club is run, because he got his job because of the structure they have in place. I think what he's talking about is the dressing room and losing the support of key figures in that dressing room. Looking at it from the outside, when I watch Chelsea play, those players are not playing for Liam Rosenior. To me, it doesn't look like they believe in what he's trying to do. And when he comes out in public and criticises them after the game, I think that makes the situation even worse.
See, I didn't receive it like that, though, Carve. If I'm in that Chelsea dressing room and I was part of that team last night, they're not running, they're not trying. We all hate losing, let's be honest, but there's ways of losing. It's what I've always said.
But the players would be saying, we're not running as much as the other side because the head coach wants us to keep possession. So we don't have to do it.
But it's a willingness to close down and stuff.
We don't have to do as much running. Or they're thinking, why is he suddenly making us play with 3 at the back? Or why does he always want Robert Sanchez to roll the ball straight out and Caicedo or Enzo Fernandez to receive the ball with their back to the rest? You know, they may be asking questions about what Liam Rosenior is asking them to do.
Liam Rosenior is not dictating when you challenge or close someone down, and that's why the Chelsea fans are so disappointed as well. I take your point because I completely agree with you. When I've done Chelsea games this year, I'm thinking, why is it going back to Sanchez and he's trying to swing a ball on a diagonal like he's Edison? You know, they started the season. Sanchez has actually not done too bad this season, but nowhere near good enough. Their backline, if you look at Chelsea, what system do they play? What players do they have that you think, Enzo Fernandez looks like he's going to leave. Cucurella looks like he wants out as well. Then you've got, like you mentioned to that fan, a barber, Cucurella's barber, leaking the team news. Like, it's so toxic, and I don't
The huddle.
The huddle. It's all a bit strange, isn't it? Like, and I don't... When it rains, it pours. I mean, Liam Rosenior will wake up. You could see, I didn't receive what he said as a, you know, an onslaught to the players at the end of the day. That was nowhere near good enough. And you said before, and I agreed with what Liam Rosenior said, he's going to pick a team at the weekend of players that are willing to work for the shirt. You know, like I said, people might not like the style, but you have to find a way, Carve. You're getting paid a lot of... I know money is not everything. Paid a lot of money, play for your family, play for pride. I've played for so many managers. I've also had games where you show up, eat the same, sleep the same, and your legs are not there, but you still compete.
But what happens if you don't believe in the manager?
You still play. You still play. You can't just turn up and not play. players do down tools, and that's what I'm seeing. Because look at what happened with Michael Carrick. He came in the job for 2 days. We go and have Man United have a worldly performance against Man City and beat Arsenal. If you'd have said that to me beginning of the season under Ruben, I'd be like, what? And Man United have got the same players.
Are those players thinking of Chelsea now, or are they thinking, right, we're not going to be in the Champions League next season? Perhaps that's going to affect how much I'm going to get paid next season. Are they on the phones to their agent saying, look, maybe you need to find me another club to play for this summer?
You can see it. You can see it with your own eyes. Last night, it was so telling the way they performed. I understand systems and tactics, 3 back, 4 back, 5 back, but fundamentally, you have to show up. The fans show up in numbers. There's some fans that go every single home, away, everywhere, and they're not even trying, Carve. That was embarrassing last night. It was nowhere near good enough.
I think they are trying.
What? Last night?
I think they are.
The players?
I think they are.
Nah.
I don't think they step out on the pitch in a big Premier League game live on TV and not try.
You can't tell me those players last night were trying, Carve.
I think they were trying, but I think they don't believe in the manager. They don't believe in what they're being asked to do.
There is that as well, I guess. But
I want to pick up on something you said in the last hour, Leanne, in terms of Liam Rosenior being kind of treated unfairly with the sort of personal things that come at him. That's something that I think we can all defend him on, because there has been quite a lot. He seems to take a lot more than other managers take.
I think a lot of managers take a lot of the flat now, and the players get away with a lot. And I'm saying that from a former player's perspective.
Yeah, but I mean the personal things. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I think, I don't like it. I mean, when he got the job, there's people saying, oh, he's a science teacher. What's wrong with being a science teacher? They're really smart. Who cares? He has to come out and talk. This is him. And we've seen it happen before when Emery was at Arsenal. People used to make fun of how we spoke. I didn't like that either. So fundamentally, when you are in a spotlight, people will say things. We don't always have to agree, but you can't say... I mean, most managers probably last night wouldn't have even done the interview after the game. Because whatever he said, we would always be here today critiquing it, wouldn't we? Everybody would, because I thought Trevor Chalobah's interview was worse than Rosenior's afterwards. Players come out and speak, but if I'm the PR person at Chelsea, I'm thinking, don't let the players talk, because he didn't give anything, did he, in his interview?
You know what I think's happened is Chelsea become the crisis club at the moment because they've made some bad decisions. The bad decision was letting Enzo Maresca leave. Another bad decision, appointing Liam Rosenior. Who was the crisis club before Chelsea? Tottenham. Why? Because they made some bad decisions, appointing Thomas Frank.
Even Poch being at Chelsea, Carve.
Taking too long to let him go. Then making another mistake, appointing Igor Tudor. Before Spurs, Man United were the crisis club. Bad decisions, giving Erik ten Hag a new contract, appointing Ruben Amorim. Then they made a good decision. They appointed Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick made lots of good decisions. He brought Steve Holland in with him. He brought Jonathan Woodgate in with him. I don't think we've reached the point of no return with Chelsea. I think we are just seeing what happens when you make bad decisions. 1, Enzo Maresca going, 2, appointing Liam Rosenior. And if they are going to replace Liam Rosenior, they have to make sure they get the right person in. And I think one thing that works in their favour is there are a lot of very, very good managers who are available on the market this summer.
Yeah, it's not a competition, but in terms of crisis club competition, I think Tottenham might just take that crown over Chelsea at the moment. We've got
if you speak to Tottenham fans at the moment, they would say, we hope Liam Rosenior stays. Because if he stays, we'll have a better chance of winning at Stamford Bridge. And also, if you speak to Leeds fans today in here have been saying to me, is Liam Rosenior going to stay? We want him to stay, because if he stays, we'll have a better chance of winning on Sunday. We don't want John Terry in charge, because they might get a new manager bounce.
We've had a lot of messages about that, actually, from Leeds fans saying that they want him to stay in charge, which says a lot. We've also had a lot of voice notes. This one's from Dylan.
I like Rosenior, but I honestly do not know if he could win the Chelsea Premier League or Champions League title. I believe the biggest problems at Chelsea is the ownership and the way that they want to run the club.
But it doesn't sound like it's going to change, Carve, or not drastically.
Well, the owners, have spent billions and billions of pounds buying Chelsea, restructuring the club. Leanne made the point that she believes the first big mistake they made was letting Thomas Tuchel go. A lot of Chelsea fans would agree with that. They've changed the whole structure. It's almost been like year zero. They've started from scratch. They've ignored Chelsea's history what happened in the past under Roman Abramovich, all the titles they won, the European Cups they've won. They've gone in there and basically acted like they were buying something that was totally broken. There was a distressed asset that they needed to rebuild from the ground up. Whereas a lot of Chelsea fans would say, you know what, under Thomas Tuchel, just a couple of months before he left, we won the European Cup. We won the Club World Cup, or whatever it was called, in the Gulf, when Roman Abramovich was there as well. Don't forget, Thomas Tuchel was appointed in January, I think, and in May of that year, Chelsea won the European Cup. In 5 months, they won the European Cup. Now, Liam Rosenior was appointed in January, and look at where Chelsea are now.
I also think there's this. I saw a lot of people talking about the FIFA Club World Cup of last year. They're like, oh, well, this was inevitable. The players would get tired. I don't know what you guys think about that, because I'm not having the fact that they played in this FIFA Club World Cup, you know, what was it, 8 months ago. They're saying it's been a domino effect onto their poor form and now the players are tired. And I'm thinking, OK, I understand, on one hand, high-intensity situation, but I don't think that's the reason why they're in this position.
I agree with you 100%. Man City played in the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Did they look tired?
Yeah.
PSG played in it. Benfica played in it. Bayern Munich played in it. OK, they didn't get as far as Chelsea, but I don't think you can use that as an excuse. And in the final of the Club World Cup in New York, New Jersey, that was an absolute masterclass from Enzo Maresca against PSG. That was a full-strength PSG team. OK, the level wasn't as high as the Champions League, but in that game, you saw what a good head coach Enzo Maresca was. And I'm not saying Enzo Maresca is going to be enjoying what is happening at the moment at Chelsea, but surely...
Being proven right, though.
Exactly.
Right, Carvey, thank you. Loads of Chelsea